just in the past few months, I think the Justice Department threatened to bring a lawsuit against the state of Alabama because the conditions in terms of frequency of violence, frequency of sexual assault, and the virtual impossibility of preventing those scourges, the Justice Department charged it with violating the Eighth Amendment, which bans cruel and unusual punishments.
Right. I mean, there were some photographs smuggled out of one of the Alabama prisons, and one picture. It's horrific to see what an inmate the person detained in the prison actually cut into himself to scrawl in blood on his wall, like, "I'm depressed, need medical help, I'm being ignored," right? Because he had no means to communicate that, so he wrote it on his cell wall in blood. Mm-hmm. Or more sort of systemic. You have the Alabama lawsuit. Also, you have California, which was one of the few states to sort of find itself in recent years under federal judicial oversight for these horrible conditions. And California basically admitted in court that their system was so over-constrained and their medical services were so inadequate that they had about one preventable death every 6 days. That translates to about 60 preventable deaths a year at a time when our execution system executes about 30 people nationwide, right? So California's conditions were killing more than twice the number of people as sort of the entire nation's death rows combined. They're really horrific.
And the fact that it differs state by state is a big theme of your book. Talk a little bit about how our misperception of the, i.e. singular, criminal justice system shapes how we think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. I think it's realized that there's about 4 or 5 different overlapping systems. So we have somewhere, we don't even know the exact numbers, somewhere between 16 to 19,000 separate police departments, right? And in most places, the police department reports to a police chief who's appointed by a mayor who's elected by the city, right? Or a sheriff who's elected by the county. Then you have a prosecutor, and they're generally elected by the county, and then, which is a weird geographic border for them to represent. And then you have laws that are passed by legislators who are, I mean, they're kind of state officials, but maybe they represent like 17 towns upstate or like 17 square blocks in Brooklyn. Like they're kind of not quite state officials. And then you have a parole board that's appointed by a governor who's elected by the state. And so it's a very fractured kind of system. And the feds sit on top of that, but they can't do much. They can give some money, although the impact of that money is understated. They generally can't enforce very much. They can only enforce federal crimes, and those are very narrowly defined. One of the more depressing things about Serial, right? I think it was the podcast Serial, was that it created all this demand for a pardon. Everyone kept petitioning Obama to pardon this person. He eventually had to post something on the White House website saying, like, I can't. Like, only the governor of Wisconsin can issue a pardon for Wisconsin offense. It's just not what I can do, right? And none of these bureaucracies overlap with each other in a convenient kind of way or work together all that well. There's actually years ago, the DA for New Orleans was Harry Connick Sr., Jr.'s dad. And he decided he was going to abolish plea bargaining. He's going to abolish plea bargaining to get around shoddy police work. So he's like, it used to be if the police are bringing you a bad case, this could be aggravated assault, but the police work is terrible. So they'd offer a deal. Like if you plead guilty to this low-level misdemeanor, we can sort of all put it aside, not deal with the police misconduct. And Connick said, I'm not going to do that. If it's a bad police work, I'm just going to drop the case altogether. So police, you have to do a good job.